couple of minutes late, y'all. I had some technical difficulties, but I think I got them all figured out.
And I had some sales non-difficulties. I was finishing up on a new potential client call.
Nice. Did we
We're
close
going
them?
through. Huh?
Did we close them?
No, not yet. I think it made a really good impression with them. They're a very large. It's actually a mobile vet company.
Dude, we've had a couple of at bats with mobile vets and just never, for whatever reason, never made it.
This one is. I really like this company. They're a lot of opportunity for improvements, like DSA campaigns, sending all the traffic to a services page rather than the geo-specific page. You know, that they actually have a 16% conversion rate on, but most of the traffic goes, or half the traffic goes to the page with a 2% conversion rate. So it's like, man, there's just some oddities there that I'm like, these are, you know, obvious areas for improvement. But yeah, it should be hopefully a good relationship if they decide to choose us.
That's awesome. For our audience, I just posted a link to our new Q&A thingy. And I realized I want to apologize last time because we had a disjointed model and system, and that's because I'm the one that created it, and I'm an idiot. So my assistant, Julianne, who's brilliant in every way, she found us this little handy-dandy widget on Slido, I guess it's called. So I posted that in the chat, and that's available and accessible to you. And you know what I should be doing, dude? I'm actually going to take that out of chat, and I'm going to go put it in the members-only area. Now that I think about it. So
sounds good.
In the meantime, John, we do have some questions, and I'll tee them up for you to get started while I go post this little Q&A thing.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Archie says, with PMax, are you able to target a specific competitor's URL product page or just their broad website? Where do you input this when creating a custom audience signal? How much success have you had?
Yes, so you can potentially. So it's actually not a, I swear, we're teaching Google. Like I've had 2 times where I taught Google something, I think they watch these videos. And I say that not to be, you know, arrogant or egotistical. But when I talked about conversion lag, all of a sudden, you know, the conversion lag counter showed up. And then when I talked about, hey, we're driving traffic to a specific landing page, now they're actually reviewing the websites that you're posting in there and actually have a spot that says, here's the website that people visit and we'll review it. So each time we find this little ninja thing, Google ends up finding it as well and then controlling it, kind of like regulating. It's like big government. As soon as you find something that works and is successful, there's a tax and regulation on it. But yes, so you can potentially. What I mean by that is you're going to be able to identify a page that people go to when the traffic is plentiful enough and Google has data on that user. Now, if you are trying to track a page that might have 100 users a month, probably not. You're probably not going to see that. The danger here is with Performance Max. It's a hard target with an expansion opportunity. So if you post something inside of Performance Max as a target, and it says, wow, we checked here, didn't see anybody. And then it goes off on its own. You're essentially saying, well, this target that I thought was going to work is not working. You have to understand that it's going to try to go to those people. If nothing is there, it's going to just go off anywhere it likes. So yes, you can target a specific down to a very small web page. My opinion would be to upload or to add a custom audience with that URL first, see if it defines an audience for you, see the size of that audience, and then know after X amount of weeks, it's going to blow through that audience and then try to go elsewhere. And then you have to say, is that worth the test?
Members, here's what I'd like you to do. If you're on our channel, click on community, and then you can go, you can see the link that I posted for our members only. And when you're posting your questions, this is what you're going to see. If you see somebody else's question that you like, vote it up. And then we're going to prioritize questions not by chronology, but by popularity, because I think that's the best way to do it, right? Like to make sure that we're addressing the ones that people are most concerned with.
May the best question win.
May the odds of, what is it? May the odds be ever in your favor.
I don't know. I never watched Star Trek.
That's awesome.
I just made like half the community mad. Sorry.
How the hell do I stop sharing my screen now? There we go. All right, John, I'm going to tee up for the next one.
All right.
Goodness, dude, it's blowing up. Inside the product tab of Performance Max showing only 50 clicks daily, the total campaign got, whoa. Y'all, hey, Time out. I can't be your secretary, so you need to type your entire question into one box, or I'm not reading it. We're gonna go to Corey. How are you segmenting new customer acquisition versus returning customers via separate PMax campaigns?
In the beta, it's coming soon, so just hang tight. It will be here in about 1 to 2 months. There is a feature coming out that will help you identify new versus returning and target them specifically. So I can't divulge much more information about that because we are under NDA with Google, and I probably just violated it there. But just know that that will be a possibility inside of the campaign specifically.
And you guys, I know that's so annoying to hear. It's true. Like Google sent us this FU document that we had to sign in order to get the access to
all
this.
the cool stuff.
How many slides were in that presentation?
65.
Like 65. Yeah. So and every slide was at least one new feature, sometimes 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm. And so
at least 65 new features coming to Performance Max.
Yep. And then there's also another thing that is interesting is Performance Max is going to be heavy new traffic. And so if to my smart shoppers out there, my smart shopping users out there, I should say, that was 80% heavy remarketing of new and existing traffic, but still heavy remarketing, 20% new customer acquisition. That's why your costs were always like, man, my standard shopping clicks were like $8. My smart shopping clicks were like 48 cents. It's because they got one standard shopping click and they remarket the crap out of them for 6 months. And those people have really good ROAS, and then they will convert. Now, Performance Max is like Facebook. It's a branded cold traffic audience you're giving signals to, and it's trying to go after it. So where we used to fall into the hard reality of smart shopping, just going after those people over and over and over again, Performance Max is going to flip that around, where your ROAS may be worse, but it's not going to be the existing user that came to you organically and also came through on Facebook and then just got remarketed to them by smart shopping. So just know it is a complete reverse paradigm of smart shopping, and is not going to act anything like how the smart shopping campaigns were acting.
So I've got a challenge for us, John. Let's try to outrun the questions.
Cool.
Because what we have been doing is long answers up until like 10 minutes before we have to jump, and then we try to rapid fire. Let's rapid fire now and see if we can't get ahead of them.
Perfect.
We're playing with things, y'all, so just bear with us. Oh, Mohammed's saying, FYI, there's a character count on these messages, which might explain the multiple threads. All right, I'm sorry, y'all, if I just offended anybody. I just got overwhelmed. How long would you suggest turning off tCPA or tROAS when trying to allow for campaign learning?
It depends on the campaign, honestly.
Forever.
Well, honestly, yeah, really. I mean, yeah. I always am a big favor of using daily ad spend in order to limit the issues, not tCPA tROAS. tCPA tROAS is going to say like lock it into a very finite audience that will decay over a very short period of time, and then you have to turn it off anyway to gain a whole new audience. So just don't spend as much.
How many keywords are recommended per asset group for hyper segmenting?
Oh man, go as many long tail as you possibly can. My last long tail asset group, I had 65 long tail keywords, and my last update of impressions I showed up for on DSA was about 10,000 different search terms.
But the long tail keywords that are in a single asset group are very, very, very similar, right? They're effectively synonymous.
Yeah, it'd be like, best Google Ads agency, best Google Ads agency for e-commerce, top Google Ads agency for sales, most reviewed, top Google Ad. I mean, they're like just long tail ridiculous.
It's how do you say the exact same thing 65 times?
Right. Yeah. Right. Break out your thesaurus, your dictionary, and then just go to town matching.
Well, and I think that's an important distinction, because if people are building out multiple long tails in a single asset group and the keywords are too disparate, then I think that's going to dilute the quality.
Yeah. But the other thing too is just remember that your asset groups are going to overlap with each other. So don't try like a cold traffic one, then a long tail. You're just going to get everything anyway. So they're going to overlap. So try to go very, very specific. Remember, Google's going to take something and run with it. So don't give it like shoes, and then all of a sudden it's like, we got snowshoes, and you're like, I sell high heels. Crap. Like, you went the wrong way. So just think about hyper specificity, because it's going to 10x that.
What do we do after seeing that our hyper segments have good or bad performance?
Oh, well, if they're having good performance, leave them on and start to change out the low asset group performance score. So look at the view details of the asset group, and then when it says low, swap that out for something different. So
well, PMax does it for you, right? It's almost set it and forget it. If you have 100 asset groups and you need to redeem one of those asset groups, then kill it. But otherwise, if it has low performance over time, PMax is going to kill it anyway.
You'd think so. What ends up happening is it actually just starts shifting users. So it's so stupid. So for example, I'm going to use a really, really minute small specific example. I got 2 asset groups. I have a bad asset group. I have a good asset group, and I have 1,000 people total. I shut off the bad asset group, and now 1,000 people are found the good asset group, which made the good asset group bad.
That's so funny. So Google got romantic about the audience it was trying to sell to.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, I have 2 targets. This one is good. This one's bad. And you're like, that one's not good. I like money, so you get your clicks over here now. And it just shoved them in one area. So you do have to pause, but you also have to pause what the good and the bad people are not doing.
Dude, the implications of that are staggering, because it means that if Google's desperately trying to target an audience, you almost can't stop it, and you almost want an asset group that will take the distracted audience to keep your other asset groups healthy.
Yeah, but that's why I said from day one, as hyper segmented as you can get. Google's like, give me all your data, all your lists, all your keywords, all the things. And it's like, here's your mediocre performance. You're like, what do I do? And I'm like, gotcha. You're screwed. That's what it did. So now if I can actually shut off specific products in a specific audience for a specific asset group in a specific campaign, okay, now I have some control. Even if they start to shift over, a slight loss of a $300 ad spend in one asset group is not going to be overtaken by a $50 pause. So it's essentially you're basically trying to sculpt the audience as much as possible to get rid of the bad. It's like, okay, can I get rid of the bad audience? Yes, most of them, but then they came over here. Okay, well, can I get rid of the bad audience that's clicking on these too much? Yeah, you can. Now shut the products. Okay, what's left? A slightly better audience with products that sell. Good.
That's awesome. During the 3 months of not touching our campaign, can we add new photos, videos, or headlines?
No. You know what's so funny is not technically. Google, again, has updated as of yesterday. Any change you make, $1 per day difference, puts it into a 3-week learning period, is what Google said. The first time you launch a Google Performance Max campaign is 6 weeks now. The learning period is what the official new update from yesterday, what Google said.
Why does that line keep moving, do you think? Because they've changed it so many times that I'm starting to wonder whether or not they're actually retooling the algorithm.
It's a specificity thing. So here's the best part is it's all statistics are just lies with numbers. Like that's all it is.
Did you just come up with that, or is that somebody's thing? Because that's brilliant.
Someone told me that one day. I was like, you're right. Here's what I think. You're going to have varying degrees of performance increase.
Dave just said that's stupid.
Sorry. I love you, Dave. How do you ban Dave, by the way? Can we Google
that? Can we ban? Yeah.
I love you, Dave. So here's what's interesting is depending upon what you change, you're also going to be depending upon when the quote unquote total 3 weeks is up. And here's what I mean by that. If I change all of my YouTube videos, I think it's going to take 3 weeks for me to see a change. No, I'm going to see a change in the first 4 days, but after running those YouTube videos for 3 weeks, the display or discover remarketing of an old user finally did or did not convert. Like 90% of your effectiveness will be felt in that channel very quickly. The ancillary is going to come later. So I think that's a full 3 weeks. It's like, yeah, 3 weeks for everything, but now you'll miss my $3, he says. No, he's got us. But the changes that are going to take effect are going to be instantaneous and will be technically felt quickly, but the overall completed effect of after time lag and after sales cycle and all the other stuff is going to be 3 weeks is what they said.
So new campaign, 6 weeks learning, changes in campaign, 3 weeks learning.
Just understand that if you make a change and you give it a week or you give it 2 weeks, you're not fully there yet. So that's what that really means. It's like, don't make a change, the next week make the change, the next week make the change, because all of a sudden you just kind of, if you're actually making changes that do take longer, yeah, you're probably going to not have amazing long-term performance. And that's very, very true. I've seen that where from day to day, I'm like, it's kind of sputtering. And then when I look at the picture, I'm like, I'm just going in a heartbeat this way. But it was like plus 10, minus 10, plus 12, minus 9. And it was like,
It's a machine learning. You're watching it like in action.
Yeah, and that's what's really interesting is I can't share this client name because they're a very large client. And I'll see if I can give you a screenshot real quick. I'm just going to go back to January, look at all campaigns.
While you're doing that, this pertains to adding asset groups too, right? It's not just changing an asset group. It's adding an asset group, resets the entire campaign and moves you back into learning.
Right. So here's that will work. Okay, you're going to know that this company sells things that are of the beauty. Just double check, make sure everything's good. Yep. So we were hired in March for this company here. Can you see all this right here?
Let's take a look here.
There we are.
I like that you some product placement going on there.
You know what's funny is that's just print screen. That's the leg shot site. Like no joke, I can like refresh this and like I can't get away from this. So here's what's cool. We were hired here. This is a Performance Max Solutions 8. Everything else was paused, and I spent 421 grand since January, but I actually started here. They were on a really big decline, partially because this company had face masks really driving a lot of the revenue. Well, that did not become really popular after face masks started to go away in the United States. So we paused it, started Performance Max, and now it's obviously this is April, so it's not done yet. The April 25th, but that's week over week performance starting to get better. So you can see that it's slow and incremental, but that's March and all of April, and now is trending up. Now there's an $80,000 climb there, from that time period. But again, if I'm sitting there like panicking every 3 or 5 days, and I didn't give it 2 months and monitor, I built 80 asset groups, so that really helped. But I did it all in one day. Actually, I didn't. Our team did. Shout out to our team. It was a freaking beast. 80 asset groups overnight, like amazing. But anyway, that had the effect of now we're starting back on the right path. So it took a campaign that was dying over a course of a quarter because they put all their ad spend into a pandemic product, and now it's heading in the right direction. But again, it's slow and incremental, and you have to have patience, and you can't be panicked.
I forgot to give shout outs to our new members, by the way. Y'all, I'm so sorry I'm so bad at this. I'm really self-conscious about this right now. I'm bad at running the chat. I'm bad at the member cadence. I promise I'm going to get better. Glenn Sewell, who's one of my students over at DM Elite. Appreciate you, brother. Anime Laboratory, Alexander Dunn, Matthew Nightingale, Gustav Jacobson. Appreciate y'all being members. Can I start a new Google Ad account with a new brand for very good content and website right away? $500 to $1,000 a day on Performance Max.
You can, as long as you've indexed your site with Google Search Console. Yeah, you're gonna start great. Now your ROAS.
Can I pause you there? That is a hell of a pro tip.
Yeah.
Index your site with Google Search Console. The fact that Search Console is feeding Google Ads tells us so much about the way the paid algorithm is going to play into the organic algorithm. So all my SEOs out there, pause for a moment and celebrate because you're now relevant again.
Everyone, this is a Google Ads channel, so if you're SEO and you're here, that's just going to happen to you.
Yeah. We're going to take a couple shots at you. But, dude, I'm serious. Like, organic ranking now just, like, plays so heavily into the way that all this is going to function.
It does. And that's what's interesting is the engines that Google utilizes. Imagine Google is like this, cheap startup company that's just trying to leverage everything. Where it's like, can we take our taxi and turn it into our food truck? Yeah, just paint it differently. Okay, use that. Like, that's how this is working. So like what scans the page and tells us what happens on the site? Search Console, great. Let's use that for DSA. Done. Let's use it for also like our broad keywords to see what else we do. Done. And now let's use it to see what other broad keywords we can match to based on what is coming in from the DSA. Done. That's all coming from Search Console. That's like 80% of Performance Max in the first month. So indexing your site in Search Console, everyone, here's a pro tip. Run your page through Page Speed Insights. Run it through Page Speed Insights. I forget what they call it now, but run your website through Page Speed Insights. And if you're seeing bad performance or no visibility or too long to load, just know that Performance Max is going to basically try to scan the page and say, don't see anything, too long to load, and then try to drive traffic that it can't see to your site. So make sure that your website, you get long gone are the days of just like throwing up a ClickFunnels landing page and be like, Google, index it, scan it, and understand exactly what I want by tomorrow. Go. It doesn't happen anymore. So landing pages are sort of out with Performance Max.
For a mattress store with 200 products, we're running PMax with one asset group with all products with multiple audience signals and tCPA. Now we started segmenting them in the same campaign to many asset groups with one audience signal in each, but with all products in each of them. Do you recommend splitting the products by listing groups for each new asset group or keeping it all products and the performance of the campaign still bad?
Well, what you're doing is if you have all products, I don't know what the differentiators of the products are. If you're showing me an image ad about a particular product and the headline is about a particular product and I'm interested in a different product, or it's on, here's a good example, is the asset groups all similar? Is that what I'm trying to remember exactly what the question said? Is all of the assets similar and you're only doing one audience per asset group, but all the assets group are identical and they're representative of all of your products. The bigger question is here, can you take all of your products that you completely have in your store and sum it up in 5 headlines with hyper specificity? The answer is no, you can't do that. We had a problem with another client where we took over the account and they had 2 asset groups and 1,000 SKUs. And they emailed me, they're like, John, your ad copy is all wrong. I'm like, I know, we're building all new asset groups because you have to, when you Google something, Google a cold traffic keyword, it's like headline is about one product, the other headline is about kind of something else. The description is about like a warranty. Like nothing makes sense now in the ads. It's no longer relevant because you're trying to just jam everything into 5 headlines, 5 long headlines, and 5 descriptions. Again, long headlines are not search. So 5 headlines and 5 descriptions, if that isn't representative of every single one of your products, no, you can't do it. That's where the hard work comes in, is you have to build out a ad group essentially for every one of your products or product categories or group of them that are like, yes, this headline applies to those 10 products, but not those 900 SKUs. That's how this has to work.
Same mattress, folks. There's a smart campaign, not smart shopping, but smart with 5+ ROAS. Will it affect the PMax campaign? Do you recommend keeping it or pausing it?
It depends on what the smart campaign is doing. If the smart campaign is delivering a lot of, I've seen smart search and smart display. Smart search specifically, when you hop into smart search and look at some of the keywords, it's like, oh, brand, and then everything else is cold. So typically smart campaigns will go after brand, like smart display and smart search. Now, not DSA, but I guess smart display or smart search. If it is heavy brand, doesn't matter. I mean, that's not traffic that you were earning anyway. But if it's not heavy brand, yes, it will be overtaken by Performance Max when Performance Max has better rank. When it has better rank is, did you build it to have a good ad rank like hyper specificity, good click the race diversification, yada, yada, yada.
If you're just joining us, I want to drive you to, in our YouTube channel, you'll notice there's a tab for community. And if you're a member, you can come over here and click on this link. And this link is going to bring you to Slido? You think that's how we say that?
I have no idea. Sure.
Yeah. Slido is where you can go submit your questions. Next question, Corey. When are you adding more than one audience signal to asset groups?
Can I see where that question list is? I have to read sometimes.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop it in Slack for you.
Thank you, sir. I'm a visual person, so I need to kind of like read the questions alongside.
But if you read them, I'll have nothing to do on these calls because I can't.
I need to read them as you're explaining it to me. All right, so what was it saying? It was on Corey 20 minutes ago?
Yeah. Corey said, when are you adding more than one audience signal to asset groups? I might have just archived that one.
Oh, when are you adding more than one audience signal to asset groups? I don't. Reason being, go into your Insights tab, look at a search category, and tell me how many asset groups it matched for. If it's more than one, it doesn't matter. The reason why you segment them out, though, is to try to push them away or bring them into its own campaign later on in the future if you wanted to.
Dude, this is just skags all over again. It's
like
Google and Voice skags.
It's broad keyword skag.
But from a paradigm perspective, it's focused on this target with this very specific target with this very specific message. Which, by the way, isn't like, that's not even a technical thing. That's a philosophical approach to marketing. Hey, these very specific people need to be spoken to in a very specific way. And all of us are like, damn it. You know what I mean? I wanted to sell everything to everybody. What the hell?
Yeah. Well, it's so funny is I got the same thing. I don't mean to offend anybody here because I had that like, oh, I'm stupid. Of course that doesn't make sense. But I'm looking, I'm like, I have like 2 asset groups. I'm like, I have 1,000 SKUs. I'm like, well, shit, if I did this in a search campaign, I couldn't get away with it in 2 ads.
Yeah. Right.
For all products. And so, I mean, I could, but that's my brand campaign.
Another question. Inside the product tab of a Performance Max showing only 50 clicks daily, the total campaign got 450 clicks. Are these Google shopping only? Question.
Yeah. So what you're seeing is your shopping only clicks. So you have 350 of YouTube, GSP, Discover, search, display. Then your shopping got 50 clicks. Yeah. That's what that means.
Corey, again, how are you testing ad copy and assets over time for a particular audience signal? Editing existing assets or creating new asset groups with different assets?
So what's really stupid and amazing at the same time is you're going to have a group of assets go from low to best on their own. And then you're like, well, that's dumb. And I know, but it's genius, because in a way what happens is, again, think about how nothing makes sense anymore when you have to look at a trend and how the overlap affects everything else. What I mean by that is, let's say 2 asset groups, for example. And I have Kasim come in asset group A and not buy anything. And another Kasim goes into A and doesn't buy anything. And another type of Kasim. Another Kasim. And a smaller version called a microcosm. He comes in into the asset group A and doesn't buy. But then John comes into asset group B and buys. And then John goes into asset group B and buys. And John goes to asset group B and buys. And remember, because the search terms are overlapping, the better performance you have in asset group A is going to have better performance in asset group B as well, because that person was found in both asset groups because they're very similar to the same targeting people. So the better performance that you have in the account, the better performance you're going to see in your assets, because it says, well, this image to Kasim didn't work, but this image to John worked. And this image to John worked more often. So this image works for everybody because everybody overlaps everywhere. Kind of BS.
Dylan Mentor.
You got to wait for a plateau and then optimize after the plateau, after you stop seeing those move up.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Don't ever happen again.
Well, you had a pregnant pause, and I thought you were done, but I realized now it was dramatic effect.
Exactly. I was like, and? Next question.
Dylan's here. Hey, guys, that was me asking about how long to turn tCPA tROAS off before turning back on.
Yeah.
Will spending less make Google spend more wisely, or tCPA only does something?
It does that. Think of the stair-stepper approach from smart shopping, only without using tCPA. So it's like spending until it's good, increasing it 20%, it's going to go bad, then it's going to go back to good. And increasing another 20%, it's going to go bad, then it's going to go back to good. And so it's basically like, rather than increasing it 20%, letting it off, letting tROAS off, and then turning it back on, and then turning it back off, and then uploading it. So instead of the stair-step approach, you're doing it without tCPA. So it's just incremental increases over time. Each time you do that, you're going to see a dip, and Google's like, wait 3 weeks, and then you'll see that start to come back, obviously, and then scale up. And I've scaled an account from $500 a day to $50,000 a day in 58 days without losing ROAS. So I know it's possible. Now, I don't think that everybody is going to want your product the same way. We have to think about, oh yeah, I can't scale it at 800 ROAS like a broken pair of sneakers. Like, no one's going to want that. So make sure it's obviously you're dealing with the realm of possibilities, but it is very much possible.
A necessary caveat that you're going to hear every single time we go live, or you should, is think about the speed at which Google's already changed all the rules about PMax. Everything that we're saying right now is subject to modification, and it's not going to necessarily be us modifying it. It's going to be, oh, the system changed again. Especially, there's 65 pages worth of new features coming out. Each one of those features is going to impact everything else.
And to our existing clients, if I told you something last month and you hear something different today,
I'm sorry.
That's going to happen again. It's changing so fast. And then Google, I love them, but Google's always wrong. It's horrible. And I've set up campaigns for the best.
Wonderful. It's why we're in business.
I know, but like the whole like, hey, exact match keyword is the only keyword type that can pull out a keyword in Performance Max. I'm like, okay, then why can I only spend $300 a day on my brand, but $10,000 a day on my brand in Performance Max using exact match keywords? Like, I don't know. Get back to you. No one ever gets back to me.
They never get back to me. Michael Arriguzzo, sorry I butchered your name. Hey guys, thanks for the content. These live calls and videos have deep value. I appreciate you, Michael, saying that. Quick soapbox, y'all, is there's a lot of folks that either we can't help, they don't necessarily want to hire us or whatever, and we want to make sure that everybody has access to the right content in the right ways. So, and everybody on this call, especially, y'all are the tip of the spear, especially my other agency folks. Like, it's important that we're doing this the right way, because we're spending other people's money on their behalf.
Yeah, and everything that we try to do as much as possible is like, if I was sitting in like a board meeting with members of a board of a large company, even if it was a mistake, everyone at the time that we were going to try this would agree that that was the right thing to do. And that's kind of how I try to run this. Is I never have anything like, okay, so we did that. That was a bad idea because I sent traffic to eBay, not your site. Whoopsie. Like, we never had that. It was more just like, okay, that obviously didn't pan out. How do we pivot?
We have an outdoor clothing brand for men and women that we had already started a PMax campaign with one ad set running for a bit more than a month. Our organic Pima cotton clothing brand only has about 12 products. 192 variant SKUs, different sizes and colors. What daily budget would you recommend?
It depends. Arms of Andes, how many videos do you have running at the same time? Let me know that.
Corey, minimum daily budget recommendations for each lead gen campaign using single asset groups with single audience signals.
Everyone be very careful about Performance Max and lead generation. It gets spammed like crazy. We have been able to push it away. And I've actually even been like watching it being pushed away. We had like 5 required fields that were pretty much, fine. We had 25 spam leads a day for a day. I added 1 field that just says, how can we help? Open text field required. 25 spam went down to 5 leads, 3 spam, too good. Just by adding 1 field in one day change. It was night and day. You see all of a sudden it's like spam, 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 good. Like it was just whoa. So I've actually been tracking that. So understand that if you run PMax for lead generation, make it hard for them to convert. If you're not willing to, and I truly mean this because I deal with this a lot of times with our own clients. If you're not willing to add 10 required fields, don't run it, period. Don't. Or be okay with getting spam and trying to push it away by adding more fields. But understand that if you run lead generation for Performance Max, you are going to get spammed because Google is going to go and hit every single VPN user on accident that it thinks is the United States, and they fill out forms because they're click farms being piped in from other countries. Just know that is going to happen. So don't run PMax unless you have 15 required fields. I'm sorry to say it. My best performing client, half their quality leads come from Performance Max, other half from 7 other campaign types. They have to build and actually submit a quote for a product that they build in order to generate themselves as a lead. It's not a form. They actually have to physically 3D design it, and then it's a lead. I get 400 of those a month though, and 40% like close rate. Amazing. But again, I just very good. So just know that is something that is going to happen. But if you were going to run lead generation, I would start off with 1 asset group and just pack it full of everything. It does not matter anymore because you can't have listing group segmentation. If you want to see how your data compares to a Nicole audience of interest compared to a DSK, run separate campaigns, but don't run a PMax campaign under $100 a day. Just bet you can. Just know it's going to take longer, but try not to spend less than $100 per day.
John's married to an Italian, so that was not cultural appropriation. He's allowed to do that.
Yeah, that's right. I had a lot of pasta, which is why I'm now hefty. Married an Italian.
Hey, team, is it possible to exclude brand keywords from a PMax campaign? Here's the best part. The Google rep said it's not up to him to exclude keywords. We know for a fact they have that feature.
I have a screenshot of it.
We know for a fact Google has that feature. Whether or not they're willing to use it for you, or maybe even it's tiered. I wonder if like the higher tier Google teams have it and the lower tier doesn't.
I don't know. That's interesting. What's weird is I think it would probably only be the higher tier because like, oh, this is our internal. So I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense. The one person was like, we have it. Well, we've always had it. The other team's like, no, we have it. So you must have it. So now I think we're not going to get it because Smart Shopping had it back then for them as well, but they never gave it to us. But what's really, really, really interesting about it is I would ask you why you wanted to push away a keyword inside of Performance Max.
So you and I have had this conversation, I think, offline. Why wouldn't you want to push brand away? And I know it's the multivariant multi-click, right? But you can still push that into a brand campaign.
Mm-hmm. But why?
I'm going to lose this argument from the outside. I can already feel it.
I'm just saying, here's the argument that everyone asks me. No, John, I want to pay for my own brand name in that campaign. I want to pay for my own brand name in that campaign. Okay.
Go on. Tell me more about how you'd like to make your money. I want the gold here. I don't want to dig there.
And then the next question is, well, how did they find out about you? Was it from your search, GSP, YouTube, shopping, discovery, display, and remarketing? Yeah. No. Then why running PMax? I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Just FYI, Arms of Andes is definitely cheating. I think they have 3 people on this call that just keep upvoting their questions. If a good stable PMax campaign gets 250% daily, I would like to add more asset groups. Do I have to do them all 30 asset groups in one shot or gradually?
If a good stable PMax campaign gets 250% daily, I'd like to add more asset groups. Do I have to do them all? Yes, I would absolutely add them in one shot. We just recently found out that when we start to add them like every few days, like it just stutters. And then we stop and it's like, it's weird. So that 3 weeks thing is not It's not entirely true for 21 days, but it is true that there is a reset a bit.
Well, so if you add an asset group, wait a little bit, add an asset, just reset.
Mm-hmm. It's like we had like 400% performance. So we kept adding an asset group. It was like 325, 400, 325, 400, 325, 400, 325, 400. And then we stopped. And it was like 425, 475. We're like, oh, okay. It's just testing those newer audiences. We weren't scaling though. So I don't know why we kept doing that. Thinking back on it, we're just, kind of figuring things out as we go along. But then it's like, oh yeah, well, if you're not going to add newer audience and ad spend, what are you doing? Makes sense.
Are you guys using Google Analytics in any way to check or optimize the PMax campaigns?
Yes. So what's really crazy is if you do not have enhanced conversions on, PMax loses a good amount of conversions. I found $5,000 additional revenue in, of course, of 14 days that I'm going to be talking with a client on Monday that I was like, whoa. So PMax is getting like 121 ROAS, but this is the only marketing. For example, their analytics account started like 3 months before we actually even ran PMax. So I have like perfect data of like, we're brick and mortar only in this location. So we don't actually have an online presence. Smart Shopping a long time ago was like, good performance. Ran PMax, all of a sudden, organic, direct, and paid all shot up like 350%, both in traffic and revenue. But that never made it back into Google Ads.
Dude, attribution is the next. If somebody can solve the freaking attribution problem, holy shit.
I think a company called Northbeam is doing it really well right now.
But only for e-com. And lead gen is.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah.
Yep, yeah, that's true. And that's right. It's really, really interesting. But then I thought to myself, well, crap, if I see constant YouTube, I might just go Google your brand name. And then when you don't bid on your brand name and you don't see it in Google Ads, hey, now we lost it there. Then you find it in analytics.
What was that thing that Michael Nadalin showed us? Inside of analytics, he was able to identify specific search terms coming from PMax. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I don't think I have a video on that.
No, I don't remember. I don't remember how much. I looked at it. I was like, I kind of already have that. It was a specific search terms from DSA, I thought.
I thought it was PMax, but I might be wrong. I'll go back and look.
Yeah. Okay.
Dave's shaming me for not being consistent. No nasties. How you use reporting for PMax? What are you looking at? There's like 3 columns. You've got very little to look at.
How are you using reporting? Well, I'm not sure what that means.
Well, so there's product specific reports, there's insights, there's ad set, and that's it, right?
Well, you got the listing groups, and you have view rate, you have watch rate, you have bounce rate, page session duration. You have the search categories plus the conversions, cost per conversion rate of subcategories of those search categories.
Well, you're naming columns now. You're going all the way.
You archived the question. What was the original question?
Oh, sorry.
I was like, what's reporting?
How are you using reporting? Yeah, what is it that you look at that to optimize a Performance Max campaign?
Yeah, I'm looking at like probably 30 things. That's
a hard question to answer because it's prescription after diagnosis. So you can't tell somebody what to look at until you know what the problem is, or if there's a problem, or what the goal is. Do you want to expand?
I'd look at, obviously your listing groups. Insights tab is where you start. What is your audience signals that are driving the segmentation? So what kind of audience signals? What is the index? What is the share of conversions? And then what are those people Googling? And then go into the matched assets of the people of the search categories to see how much overlap is there between, so we know which one to search shut off. There's like this is going to take an hour-long conversation, but it's everything, honestly. And then look at all your other campaign metrics. Like hop into your just standard columns, add every single column. You're going to see a lot of them overlap. So for example, it's like, how do I know what my YouTube campaign is doing inside my Performance Max? Well, look at view rate. What is it? It's like, aha, like everything they used to look at YouTube, for some reason, everyone forgets that you can also measure that inside your Performance Max campaign. It doesn't give you a report that says here it is, but you can look at my view rate of my Performance Max is only counting how much people are watching my videos. So that's when my YouTube campaign is out of my videos. Like there's a way to kind of identify that and see am I even getting resonation? Because what you have to imagine is we jam-packed a top, middle, bottom, and remarketing on all 7 channels in Google together. It's ignorant to look at a metric and say, well, that's bad. And be like, well, that was the first video that cold traffic saw. Of course it's going to be bad. You don't want that? Well, I guess so. That's the thing.
I'm thinking about that client we just lost that wanted us to do device optimization in PMax. You haven't prioritized mobile, really, have we not?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know if that's possible. It's also like the 7th visit this week. Like, all right, I'll let you come back 4 times from a computer, but a mole, no, sir.
Absolutely not. Does raising the PMax daily budget reset the learning period in the first 6 weeks? How much or often do you raise the budget?
It's based on results. If you're getting really good results, just continually raise until you hit a point of diminishing returns. Then back it down 1 step previous and then hold.
Nice. Hey, we got a new member. It's Michael, whose name I'm going to mispronounce.
Hey,
And then Paul just gave us $5.
thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
You just bought me a nice bag of Jack Link's beef jerky, sweet and hot. Brought to you by Solutions 8.
If you allow URL expansion through PMax, but you're running a subdomain, does it only use the subdomain or does it use the entire site?
It uses so if you're allowing the URL expansion through PMax, but only using subdomain, is it subdomain or does
subdomain is its own domain, so it should only use the subdomain?
Yes. And now here's a good test. Go into keyword tools and keyword planner and throw in your site, and then throw in your site with a subdomain, and then use the whole site. If there is a difference, Google is seeing those as 2 different ways. There's a way to test this, and it's in keyword planner by using keyword planner, discover 2 keywords, start with a website, post your website in there with and without the subdomain, use the selection tool of use the entire website and see if the search terms differentiate. If not, doesn't matter.
Dave Fogel, do you guys ever use call only ads?
No, call only ads, in my opinion, are starting at like $35 a click for anything worthwhile. And you still pay if people click on it and say, oh no, I don't want to call, $35. I can get a lot more traffic that's relevant for less cheaper than that.
Yeah, we just had a prospect come in. I did an eval on their account, and he was like, "You got to beat my CPL." And so I go into his account and I look at his CPL, and it's not bad. It's like, I don't know, for an industry perspective, it was lower than you'd expect, but 80% of the conversions were all call only, and I'm like, okay, let's play this game.
Yeah.
PMax lead gen. My client has a successful search campaign, but does not have any video assets. Should I just avoid using PMax? I have FOMO. Are Google's videos still winning for you?
Some actually. You know what is freaking insane? I've never seen this. Okay, I'm gonna have to share this because no one's gonna believe me. I didn't almost believe myself. I'm gonna pull up this client real quick, and I'm upset because this is amazing. Okay, you all are gonna know it's called Section 119. It's okay. There's not gonna have a competition for selling very unique, royalty-driven things. All right, so watch this. Average YouTube ad view rate. YouTube advertising, 31.9%. So average YouTube ad view rate, 31.9. The last 7 days, my automated videos made for by Google, 60%.
Wow.
It keeps climbing. I can't get away from it. Last 14 days was 52 compared to the previous period then was 47. Like, it just keeps going and going and going. Now, the better part is, though, everything's scaling really well. My cost up 8%, 7% more conversion value, 13% more conversions. Everything's all hunky-dory, 481. My brand's still getting like $9,000, but 481 majority of that non-brand. But as soon as this thing keeps scaling, it just keeps getting better and better and better. I've never seen a 60% view rate ever. And I've had clients that are $250,000 per month YouTube accounts. And I'm like, hey, 35% is like, really good. I keep doing that. I don't know why.
Dave says you got to get a higher resolution screen share. We can't see squat.
Squint, Dave, or glasses.
Zoom, Dave. No, we're using Restream. It's supposed to be the best. I'll figure it out.
Just do this. Just get really close. You can see my hairline.
So, client without video assets, try it using Google's video assets. I know we've been saying don't do it, but if it's performing,
if you don't have anything, absolutely do it. However, just know that lead generation and Performance Max get spammed, so you have to understand that you are changing your website to push that away. So if your client says, why does my form look crazy? You have to explain that to them and why. And you're going to have to clear it with them before that. So just understand that. Don't just turn it on and get spammed and then say, because these spams are very good. Like, the only way I was able to identify one last week is because their company name was Miami, and then the next spam one said also Miami. And I was like, wait a minute. So it's weird.
Michael just tipped us $5, so I'm letting him jump to the front of the line.
Thanks, man.
One of my brands is over 3,000 SKUs in 5 distinct niches. I ran a broad PMax campaign and have seen great results. A minority of the SKUs have generated most of the results, of course. How would you recommend optimizing the SKUs that show the best initial results if said SKUs are in different niches? Is this feasible to do under the same Google Ads account?
Okay, so let me see. One of my brands is 3,000 SKUs, 5 distinct niches, so all different. Broad PMax campaign, great results, good. Minority of SKUs that generated most of the results. Okay. How would you recommend optimizing the SKUs that show? So, Michael, what is the attribution model in the conversion action you're counting? This is going to play a huge role because if it's first click, last click, data-driven, position-based, your SKUs that are having good results could be completely different. The other part is in the 5 distinct niches. You said that there is a minority of SKUs. Now, are those minority of SKUs equally distributed through the niches, or is one niche doing well? If it's data-driven, now that's my second question. Out of 5 niches, do you have a small minority in each niche, or a small minority in like 3 of the 5 or 4 of the 5? Or is it like one niche is crushing it and everything else is dead?
Dan gave us 10 Canadian. I don't know what that is in real money. Dan, so first of all, thank you so much. It's so kind of you. But have y'all seen Canadian dollars recently?
No.
They're plastic. It's unbelievable.
Oh, that's cool.
Dan says, "Did you read all the books behind you?" No, this is just virtue signaling, so people think I'm smart.
I do the same thing, and this is how much I read.
Yeah. No, I collect rare and antique books. My favorite one is check this out. I just got 100-year-old copy of Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment, and it is $1.50.
Nice.
So I go to like antique stores, and nobody cares. Anyway, we got 10 minutes. You ready for rapid fire?
Yes. I want to make sure we get back to Michael's question. I think my question was: is the SKUs that are purchasing are they in very specific niches, or are they spread out between all niches? So if we get back with us, I can help there. Let's do rapid fire.
Rapid fire. $300 budget is a $300 budget worth it for 33,000 worth of inventory?
Dear God, no, 3,000 at a minimum.
How would you transition a PMax campaign with hundreds of products using one asset group into a hyper-segmented one?
How would you transition into a PMax with one asset group?
How would you transition a PMax campaign with hundreds of products using one asset group and a hyper-segment one? I think the answer is one asset group per product or per product set.
Yeah, you're going to want to have like
100 asset groups.
Right, yeah.
We run a PMax campaign with €25 a day budget, then €65 a day budget. What will the campaign do better with €100 a day?
Hopefully better. And this is actually a true story. I usually see better performance coming in at $100 a day and above, at least a better long-term performance, a lot less sputtering, a lot more consistency.
Can you do a video on setting up enhanced conversions with form fills? I think we have one.
Yeah, we should. If not, we'll make one.
Is your e-commerce course updated with PMax campaign strategies? No, nobody buy the e-commerce course. We actually unplugged it yesterday.
We're still learning.
Yeah, well, look, that's the thing is we can't, y'all, it's so hard. It's so hard. So we gave, if anybody purchased the courses, we gave them access to the digital marketer certification because they gave us a certain number of tickets, I guess. And then we're going to figure out PMax, and then we're going to try to create a course around that. And then honestly, we're probably going to stop selling courses because it's just difficult to be held accountable to.
Michael, real quick now, there's 2 things you want to look at afterwards. Since the minority of SKUs are having the initial results, all this means is Google's pushing those ads more. Now, what that also means is typically of smart shopping. It doesn't mean that the product that earned the click and the sale was actually the product sold in real life. What I would do is hop into your Google Analytics. I know it's recorded. So hop into Google Analytics, go into conversions, go into e-commerce, go into product performance, overlay the Google Ads campaign ID, and enter the campaign ID of your Performance Max campaign and look at what campaign sold what exact products, see how that differentiates between what Google Ads data says. And Google Ads data say, I got a click and I got a sale. Google Analytics will say, yes, you did get a click and a sale, but it was of this product. That is going to be the real truth. And then let's talk next week when you go through and say, okay, because what that means is usually Google's just starting to push the product that has the best performance. It doesn't mean it's a product that's being sold. It means a product that's getting the click before a sale.
Arms of Andes is asking for a Facebook group of forum where all the members and anyone else could talk to each other and exchange ideas. I'm semi-receptive to that, but I wouldn't want people. Here's the problem: is we did this with React Shopify, and people kept tagging us, and I was like, John, Kasim, what do you think? And it's just like, there's no way. We're having that problem with YouTube now. Did you see Regina in Slack this morning?
No.
Somebody asked this like insanely complex question inside of YouTube, and she's like, "They're not a client. Like you're not. At a certain point, it feels like there's 5,000 variables. There's no way for us to know."
Here, I just want to give everyone a quick snapshot, and this is the reason why. This is my just as a quick FYI. This is my calendar each week. It is just completely gets obliterated every week. Obviously our clients are coming as a priority. I try to hop in as much as possible. I'll have about 30 hours a week worth of meetings, and about 1 to 2 hours a day maybe of actual work time, and then I work till 2 a.m. in the morning to finish up everything that I couldn't get done during the day. So I have very, very little time. So it's not that we're ever ignoring it. That's why we're trying to do these lives as much as possible. I just get no time to respond. So, that is what it is. We're doing our best, but the lives are really where it's at.
If y'all would be interested in a group where everybody else talks, and then maybe that's even where like the group sort of comes up with their hierarchy of questions, and then we hop on Friday, as long as we don't have to moderate it, I'd be open to building that. Well, you guys, we want to help people, truly, but it's just it's hard to do at the detriment of everything else. What's your approach for big inventory, thousands of products, many different brands? Should each asset group be dedicated to a brand?
Each asset group should be dedicated to either a brand, if they're a well-known brand, or a category. And if you don't have a well-known brand, stick them into a category, like a bunch of like 4 or 5 brands that are all about a specific, like sandals. So usually brand first, second is categorical. And it's just the line of demarcation is, can I use 5 headlines to explain the unique selling proposition of all of these brands or categories? If you cannot, you need to separate them out.
Should I change the asset headlines, or all copied by the category, or all the same?
Say it one more time.
Should I change the assets headlines, or all copied by category, or all the same?
No, you want to do it by assets first, for sure. And then if that asset also is having low performance.
We have many keywords that bring organic traffic. Should we throw them into a segment, or will that hurt organic search?
No, well, it'll cannibalize your organic search a bit, because now you're going to be placing higher for those keywords in the paid, which means your question is, if I show up number 1 instead of number 5, is that going to hurt your organic? Yeah, for sure. But it's also, is it going to help you conversion by being number 1, number 5? That's the question. But I was thinking actually in an asset group as a DSK. They do it 2 different ways. One is people with the purchase intent, and the second one is people who have searched. Making sure those are 2 different signals.
Matthew just gave you 5 pounds.
Hey, thanks, man. More snacks for John. Woo! Look at that. I now have 2 bags. Thanks, everyone. This is great.
What about a group Slack channel? Would pay money for that as well. Cool, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Nordic/EU, Google does let you run English products, feeds, and shopping ads in some non-English countries, correct?
Yes.
Local language feeds is not an option at the moment.
Yeah, you can just know that you're going to have possibly limited performance by using a non-native ad in a country.
What campaigns do I need to run alongside Performance Max?
All. Except for brand and smart shopping, actually. If you want to run brand, you can just know that it might not actually pull it out.
When we launch a campaign, is it okay to change copies in the first 2 weeks? No.
Actually, and I'm going back to that Performance Max. If Performance Max doesn't show really good signs and really good performance, you're going to start a search campaign or a DSA campaign. But if those keywords that are already showing up in Performance Max, you wish you showed up in DSA, it's not going to do anything. So let me just back up there a little bit. So depends, I guess, on your current Performance Max performance. Go ahead.
Corey clarified, I meant when transitioning from one asset group with all products into hyper-segmented, do you build new asset groups out slowly or all at once?
All at once, for sure.
All at once. About Performance Max audience asset groups, when should I create asset groups with customer lists and conversions audiences or similar conversion audiences?
If you're okay with capturing repeat and branded traffic, put your list information in there.
Hey, I got snacks too from Ben. Thank you, Ben.
You guys are awesome.
Dude, we're almost there. Matt Nightingale, PMax starts with all products for 45 days learning, then split into subcategories, or split from the get-go?
Split from the get-go.
PMax, how do you reduce CPC? PMax will reduce CPC. Focus on tROAS or tCPA.
It's a loaded question, because what you're saying is, how do I get it to go to the channel that I really want it to go on? It's like, well, your CPC you're going to get is whatever channel that has the best performance. And if your YouTube channel is amazing and your search is horrible, you're going to have great CPCs. But if high placement in search wins, you're going to pay $10 a click. It's just where the
CPC is a vanity metric. Who cares what your CPC is if your acquisition costs are what you want?
And it's in the bidding strategy that you're trying to get, yeah.
We started with max conversions. Should we at some point move to max conversion value? We have a big price range.
Maybe just be really, really, really careful of that. I went from 50 grand a day down to 5 grand a day by switching, because what it says is, aha, now you want me to get a 200% predictable tROAS because it's running on that as a default. And then my campaigns that were like 150 and below just stop spending. So if you're consistently over a 1 day accrual click with a time lag of unlimited, then yes, you can go to a maximized conversion value without a tROAS. But if you're under a 1 day accrual, even with a limited time lag click, then no, you can't.
How many products should I have in a PMax asset group divided by category? Is the minimum limit or maximum for the products in an asset?
No, just know that your ad spend is going to dictate how much is actually going to be shown in that asset group. And like, if you have 1 million products at $1 a day, you're not getting millions of views and clicks. Just know that. So I'm using an extreme example to make sure you can say like, aha, that's how a correlation of spend equals visibility on product lists.
How would you create asset groups with a big inventory? 8,500 products, dozens of brands and product types. Should groups include all inventory or just segments?
I would do it categorically first, enough that you can actually represent all of the products in that category with 15 images and 5 videos, 5 headlines, 5 long headlines, 5 descriptions, and you're repeating that 4 or 5 times so that you have one signal per asset group.
Y'all, we love you dearly and deeply. I'd love to know in the comments, not the chat, but in the comments of the video, let me know what you thought of this new conversational process, this Slido thing that we're using, because I think this is what we're going to use from now on for our members. I want to get to non-member chat, but we've just never gotten through it, so we're probably not going to do that. So just join. It helps us know who kind of has skin in the game, and then we'll talk about a membership, John, like a Slack channel or a Facebook channel. I'd be interested in your comments in the description too, if that's something that you're interested in.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome to see, like Slack. I'd like to keep it as controlled as possible. Again, like with 14 meetings a day, I'd be like, sure, I'm there, and I'm on a call. So like, I want to make sure that like if we do something, I can join. That's why I had to block off this hour on the calendar just so I can take an hour of the day to talk with you all. And I love doing it. I had to push away other things to make sure I can be here. But we'll figure out something that'll work. And if everybody's interested in becoming a client, we have about 81 other employees that are really, really smart.
Smarter than us.
Yeah, just in case you can't necessarily get your question out here, but you have the means and you want to hire us and work with us, it's always an option. I don't mean to sound a sales pitch, but that is my horrible sales pitch.
Toy Schnip gave us $10. Also, Toy Schnip sounds like a very scary prospect. I don't want to know what toys you're snipping.
Toy Schnip.
Y'all, I really appreciate everybody. Thank you so much.